Hello everyone, hope you're well. We're still a little bit angry about last night, aren't we? That red card for Tomas Soucek at Craven Cottage. So, sometimes we get told, what do you know? Well, I decided to get in touch with a man who does. Mark Halsey, former FIFA and Premier League referee with over 14 years experience in the game. I had a little chat with him this morning, and here's what he's got to say about it. Mark, thank you for joining me. How are you this morning?
I'm very good, my friend. Yourself?
Yeah, I've been better, Mark. Well, let's get straight into it. The Tomas Soucek red card last night at Craven Cottage. Let's park your opinion for a minute. Why has Mike Dean given that? What's the letter of the law here that's at play?
Well, listen. I mean, Law 12. Okay, violent conduct. Let me just read it out to you. Okay, violent conduct is when a player uses or attempts to use excessive force or brutality against an opponent when not challenging for the ball, or against a teammate, team official, match official, spectator, or any other person, regardless or whether contact is made. Okay, now, in addition, a player who, when not challenging for the ball, deliberately strikes an opponent or any other person on the head or face with the hand or arm is guilty of violent conduct, unless the force used was negligible. Okay. So that is law 12, violent conduct.
And that's what they're using here to send Tomas Soucek off.
That's what they're using there to send Tomas off. Now, I mean, I watched it. I mean, obviously, I watch all the games, so I do my reports in the Sun newspaper, as you know. Straight on the phone to me last night, but I'm watching it live, and I'm thinking, I see the incident, and I'm thinking, oh, that's accidental. He's trying to lift his arm over the top because they're jostling. Mitrovic's behind him, and then he sees him and then lifts his arm over. So, to my mate, what really makes me confused is that Mike Dean is looking straight at the incident. You can see him looking straight at the incident. So he has seen the incident. He's seen the incident. So then, for the VAR, Lee Mason, to get involved in that situation, because that's not a clear and obvious error. That incident doesn't fit the criteria of Law 12 violent conduct, does it? Now,
not in my opinion.
Well, it doesn't, in my opinion, and we've seen in recent days with Mike Dean and Bedenek and Martial at Man United Southampton, where he's given a penalty. Okay, in real time, I think you can't criticise Mike Dean for giving a penalty in that game, but then when Graham Scott calls him over, now see. In that situation, what Mike Dean should have done was, once he's given the penalty, he's got to send Bedenek straight away. So when he's been called over to the monitor for that incident, I'm thinking Graham Scott's called him over to tell him it's simulation by Martial, not to tell him he's got to send him off, because that's why I think he's gone to the monitor, because the Graham Scott's game, we need to take some disciplinary action. So with this incident yesterday, when you see an act of violent conduct, as a referee, I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, as a referee, the red card comes out straight away when you see an act of violent conduct. Now, Mike Dean doesn't do that, so he's looking straight at the incident. So I fully expected Mike. Why has Lee Mason got involved? I'm sorry, Lee Mason should not have got involved. That is not an act of violent conduct. That is not deliberate. That is totally accidental, and you can see it straight away. So, Mike Dean's a very experienced referee. Now, obviously, Lee Mason has recommended a review. So, as an official, you're silly not to go across and view. You don't have to. But when you're recommended, as a referee, you'd be silly not to go across and have a look. So, but what makes me so riled is the amount of times they watched it. The amount of times they looked at it. Now, I think it was about 22, 23 times, multiple times. Now, you can get whatever you want out of watching an incident from 20 odd occasions. Now, violent conduct, straight away, bang, that's off. That's a red card. Even if his views, he's not got a good viewing angle on an incident. Okay, you go and look at the monitor, and straight away if that's an act of violent conduct or not. So Mike Dean is standing there talking to Lee Mason, looking. I think it took over 3 minutes. Over 3 minutes. And
Does that insinuate Mike Dean isn't sure that's a red card, and he's almost trying to convince himself that he's got to do something?
I understand from my sources that he didn't want to send him off. Well, if he didn't want to send him off, he didn't have to, because it wasn't active violent conduct.
So is he then influenced by Stockley Park? Is Mike Dean sort of...
Obviously, they're on about Lee Mason's on about a clenched fist. Well, I mean, was there a clenched fist, really? I mean, he's got his arms. He's trying to get himself out of the way, and even Mitrovic himself says it's not a red card. It's not violent conduct. But I mean, he didn't need to go down in the manner he did, but he did. So, but for me, when an experienced referee like Mike Dean, when he goes across to that monitor, he's got to be mentally tough, mentally strong. He's got to look at that. He's going, no, sorry, Lee, I'm sticking with my original decision. That's nothing. That is not violent conduct. That is not violent conduct. And we know West Ham will appeal. I know they're going to appeal because I've sent my contact the laws of the game. But I fully expect West Ham to win that appeal, because for that incident doesn't comply with Law 12 violent conduct. Okay? Now, for the good of the game, the Football Association have got to overturn this red card. They have to overturn this red card, because it's not an act of violent conduct. And I think to be fair, I think Lee Mason has dropped Mike Dean in it there, because I said Mike Dean's looking straight at the incident. But at the same time, Mike Dean's got to be strong enough to say, no, I'm sticking with my original decision, because he's looking straight at the incident. He doesn't produce a red card straight away. He doesn't. Do
you think it will be overturned? No, you're saying it should be, but given that they overturned Mike Dean's red card during the week, this would be 2 games on the bounce. They've had to sort of...
Well, that's my only concern. Now, obviously, for me, they're incorrect in law, because that wasn't an act of violent conduct. So normally, if the referee is incorrect in law, they will win an appeal. They will win an appeal. Now, you make a very good point. Are they going to overturn 2 red cards in the matter of 3 or 4 days from Mike Dean? For the good of football, they have to.
But they might not.
I'm sorry. If everybody is saying that is not a red card, and then they give Soucek a game ban, then for me the game's gone.
What do you make of fans and ex-players and pundits almost insinuating it's the Mike Dean show? What's your reaction to that as a former professional referee?
I mean, listen, look, Mike's done over 500 games. Yes, he's shown well over 100 red cards, and I think, as I say, he's a very, very experienced referee. So listen, some may love him, a lot may loathe him, but we need characters. We need characters in the world of football. And listen, I'm not going to come out here and berate Mike Dean. I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is, I think he's had two high-profile decisions in matter of days, and in my opinion, he's got them both wrong. And we're human. But VAR is there to put those right. But as I said, I wouldn't criticise him for giving a penalty on I think it was Wednesday night, Man United Southampton. I wouldn't criticise him, because in real time, you could say it was it looks a penalty. But with VAR there, that should have overturned and it proved it was wrong, because the FA overturned the decision.
Well, just for context for people that perhaps haven't read your past work and stuff, what's your opinion on VAR? Because it wasn't in the game when you were a Premier League referee. So what's your thoughts on it in general, rather than this isolated incident?
Well, I wished it was at times. But no, listen, look, I think VAR is here to stay. I think the game is a multi-billion-pound business. And listen, for me, the fans are just as important as anybody else in football. They know the game. Fans are knowledgeable, and let's treat them with the respect they deserve. And I think implemented correctly, and we're seeing it far too implemented what should I say, not correctly at present, and implemented correctly, more training education, it should work. But at the moment, we're all over the place, all over the place with it. So, listen, as I say, I think for the game, it's good. It's good for the game, but at the moment, it's not being implemented correctly. In my opinion, it's easy. It's there for clear and obvious errors or a serious incident missed by the on-field match officials. That's what it's there for. We're seeing too many inconsistencies at present involving VAR.
A couple more questions for you, Mark. Back to the isolated incident. You've got a good contact at West Ham. We don't need to know the name of him, but they're not very happy at the club right now with that decision.
Well, no, listen. I've worked. As I say, I talk with David Moyes occasionally. I've worked with him, over in Doha with BN Sports. Get on really well. We text each other now and again. I've been good friends with Kevin Nolan, and when he was at Bolton, and I trained at Bolton, got on really well with him and his family, and they're good people. And listen, I don't think any manager or any coach would be happy with that situation last night. I mean, just imagine if that happened 20 minutes, 25 minutes to go. I mean, it could have been a big changing decision. Now, if you look at that, if you look how long that took, right? Scott Parker's got every right to be aggrieved because they didn't play the right amount of time. Stoppage, added time. So if you think that went on for almost 4 minutes, they didn't play that amount of stoppage time over, did they? So no. Luckily for the Hammers, they didn't. But I just think that that last night, the violent conduct send off was nonsense, absolute nonsense. And I'm going to reiterate it. It has to be overturned because it wasn't an act of violent conduct, in my opinion.
Last question for you, Mark. It's a fun one. It's completely separate to all this. I read Howard Webb's book, and he was talking about when you meet up for the meetings, they discuss captains in the Premier League, who you get on with, who you don't get on with. Over the years as a Premier League referee, was there any West Ham captain that you either liked or you really disliked, that was just a pain in the backside as a referee, or that you got on really well with on the pitch?
Listen, I've always got on, always loved refereeing at West Ham, Upton Park. I mean, that for me, that is. I mean, obviously, I retired and they moved to the new ground, but I thought Upton Park was fantastic. It was just such a shame that they moved from there. But no, I always got on with West Ham guys, the players and officials at West Ham, and it's a great football club, and I'm pleased because I've got a couple of mates that are West Ham fans, and got straight on the phone to me last night saying, what on earth is going on? But so it's the same thing when everything happens to Arsenal. My brother's an Arsenal fan and season ticket holder, and he's manager at Ware Football Club in the Ishman League. So if anything goes on, he's on the phone to me straight away. But no, listen, I think it's a great football club, and used to love refereeing at Upton Park.
Fantastic, Mark. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Okay, take care. All stay safe, please, and enjoy.
Was that a little bit different for the channel? If you did, drop a like on it. A massive thank you to Mark for popping on and giving up his time for a little conversation with him about that red card. And there you have it. Even he thinks Mike Dean was wrong. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll be back later this evening with Gonzo to preview the Manchester United game. Catch you in a bit.